I do wear three hats at this company. It's executive creative director, business development, and CEO. Really, I should sunset one of those roles to be as effective as this team needs me to be in whichever two I keep. And I would tell that earlier version of myself, now that those hats that you picked up in the early stage, you did them all because you had to. To the owners and the business leaders out there, it's never too early to think about succession. That's not a bad word. It doesn't mean you're retiring or your staff has to be scared hearing those words. It just means, what is the successful transition of your business at some point?
Welcome back to the Takeover. Today we have a really cool guest. He's ran a branding and digital marketing agency for the last 30 years, a dominant player in their space. They were named the #1 place to work 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and I'm sure coming in, they'll get it for 24 and beyond. I mean, just incredible culture, incredible results for their clients. Super excited to have this guy here today because not only is he an incredible business owner, but we were talking behind the scenes and we have some common interests in music and stuff like that. So welcome to the show, Jim Taugher.
Tim, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, hey, maybe let's kind of start. A lot of the podcasts, people are looking at how can I grow more? How can I scale more? This is not a new business for you. I mean, there's been I'm sure a lot of evolution in how you've kind of grown the business. What has that looked like over, maybe kind of bring us back to the beginning of the business and where you guys are at now and what that kind of evolution of growth has looked like.
Yeah, what a perfect word to tee it up with, evolution, Tim. And so if we do the math, I was in my early 20s, mid 90s, and started this company. And just with a handful of people, that firm, that year looked like, as you said, a design company, a design firm.
Yeah.
And I'm an entrepreneur that didn't know it, perhaps. I had left an agency because I sort of desired to have that client contact, but I also loved and did the practice of art. I was doing logos for cool companies, annual reports, photo shoots, creative direction in a couple different industries. And I wanted to have that relationship as a connector. I wanted to do that. But with a couple other creatives, a couple other doers, started a company. And in that delivery of art, great, and that worked for a time. But I wasn't a business student. I didn't go to school and take the finance classes and things like that. So there's a lot of on the job training that I tossed myself into. And on that key word of evolution, I look now, I have an executive team. I have a chief financial officer who has 2 employees. All the layers are there now. So in business, without getting into the brand and marketing side of things, it's evolved on that layer where that management structure has evolved in probably, I might say 4 chapters. That first chapter is figure out. We'll just get the work in and we'll send some bills and we'll
Say yes and figure it out later.
yeah, we'll deposit the checks and that'll be okay. But
Yeah.
as it begins to scale, we started getting successful at our brand storytelling, video, web, all these additive services. The team was getting bigger, and now you need some management. As I was out doing biz dev and some high level creative direction, I had mouths to feed back at the office and helping those people do their craft, right?
Yeah.
So you just really want to provide an experience for the clients and an experience for the employees to know what they're doing, what are they getting, and so the evolution really has tried to be as efficient as possible about the heads we've put in place that do the management. But we're at a really nice place right now, 35 people, and just the right amount of oversight and direction to let people really practice their craft in this creative agency.
You know what's interesting, and I was actually thinking about this when I was looking you up, and I was, I always like to stalk our guests before they're on here, and like normally when I meet creatives, they're not necessarily biz dev people. And I was going to ask you that question, and what's interesting is you literally just said, when you were starting this, you were out there doing the biz dev. So for you as the entrepreneur who's the creative, a lot of times I will see people that come in and they either love selling and they hate the fulfillment, they hate the that side, or they love the creative, they love and then they hate the biz dev side. So for you, was there ever a tension there? And how did you really prioritize both, right? Because let's be real, a business is only two things. It's sales and fulfillment. And people like to do one or the other. It sounds like you were good at doing both. Was there a tension there, and how did you balance those?
Yeah, there's still a tension there, and it's a healthy, good one. I'll go to the Wayback Machine. First off, I was pretty naive, 25 years old, thinking the work will just come, and I love doing the work. I love the hands-on design and solving problems. I explained though that I'd like to know what problem I'm solving. So in one part, to be with the clients and at that point of solution, when does the creativity actually start? And I'd say probably right in front of them.
Mm,
So one answer is that sales for me actually was natural in extension of a conversation, and the creativity that was the solve for that is a natural extension of the conversation. So it all kind of moved like that until you're stretched, as I became, to do both. When will I find time to actually execute on this entire brand thing, perhaps that we were talking about, or a marketing strategy, if I've got the next appointment to go to, be thoughtful and present to each person. So the tension there is, I like both sides of it. Um, some days maybe you just really want to go heads down on solving and not meeting, but you
yeah.
got to keep the lights on. So you need to go to the next thing. Now, in later days, I do wear three hats at this company. So it's executive creative director, business development, and CEO.
So
Now
you're still doing biz dev at this point as
I
well.
am, and there's two others. There's two other full sales and account teams
Yeah.
that are doing that too. So it's certainly a practice, and something I'd love for your audience to know. I'm working on this very actively right now, and I feel I'm 5, maybe even 10 years behind. Really, I should sunset one of those roles to be
Mm,
as effective as this team needs me to be in whichever two I keep. It's a healthy conversation that we have. We acknowledge it. We're aware of it. The team knows how to say support me in he's in this zone right now. We need to either give me space or make sure that I'm getting downloads while I'm driving somewhere else. But quite frankly, this idea of the founder who has roles that stick to them, really, I would tell your audience, and I would tell that earlier version of myself, now that if I could go back and tell me, get about refining that business role for yourself to something that's sustainable. And that probably means those hats that you picked up in the early stage, you did them all because you had to. You had to make payroll and stuff.
yeah.
Be diligent to shed some of those, and figure that out by year 5, by year 10, no later.
Yeah, that's powerful. And one thing I'm always, I love language and communication, and I love the language you used for sunset. I need a sunset one of my, like, let's in one of the roles. So I can even just tell, just even the language that you use, you think about things and solutions probably differently than most people do. Do you feel like you've always kind of had a different slant on life, or do you feel like being a creative director, running a marketing agency has developed that for you over time.
Tim, I often say, the design of the company is one thing I applied my creativity to.
Hmm.
So in different eras, if there was, let's say, this 2008 time period where there was a recession, it took some creativity to figure out, which person I needed to be then, and how to
Yeah.
lead a team. And so yeah, it's just really always being worked on. But this truth that it is not sustainable at this size to have picked up all these roles. And I'll say this, though I really believe I have another 15-year runway for sure. Um, to the owners and the business leaders out there, it's never too early to think about succession. That's not a bad word. That doesn't mean you're retiring or your staff has to be scared hearing those words. It just means, what is the successful transition of your business at some point? You
Yeah.
could talk about it day one. And I think that would be
Yes.
really wise, to think, I'm going to affect brands and people and things for an amount of time. I'll begin it now. I'll be in this stage of life and delivery for a time, but there'll be a time where I'd like to see this thing live on. Never too soon to have those thoughts of a successful transition to others that you've been investing in to be leaders. That's been really, really gratifying in this last sort of section chapter, because I have some really, really talented, really qualified
Wow.
leaders on this executive team.
Yeah.
It's not to say get out of the way, but it's going to be their time.
Yes. And I mean, I think what's powerful is, you don't get great leaders unless you're a great leader, right? Like you have to attract that by being a great leader, because you're not going to attract great people until you've become the kind of leader that attracts great people. So I love that. We all know that sales is kind of the lifeblood of the business. I mean, I think this has been a common theme. You even mentioned pivots you had to make during the recessions and different times. What are some of the marketing strategies for you that have proven successful to grow your agency?
Yeah, it's a great question. There was probably an invisibility cloak to this company for the first half of its years. So let's say the first 15, bring us close to 2010. The referral tree that was planted and that I nurtured and watered and was really fruitful for us. Let's say till 2010, it worked, and it helped me to scale a team with some control, that matched revenue, sales, profit. It was in line. And though we're a brand and marketing firm, we didn't do a ton of marketing outreach for ourselves. You can almost say we didn't need it.
Hmm.
But to really be in the practice of this brand and
Let me
marketing,
ask you on
yeah,
that. Continue. How big was your team? Because it sounds like you're about to mention a transition that goes into where you're being a little more proactive. How big did you get your team over? You said over that was 10 years or 15 years?
yeah, let's talk in two halves. So that first 15, and we had gotten to, I think we're gonna say about 22 people.
Okay.
Okay.
And
22,
it's
pretty.
your margins were good. It was because there's people with 22 employees and they're not taking home any profit. So you're 22 people, healthy place, business is good, 15 years all built pretty much on referral. Is that what I'm hearing?
You're nailing it. You're
Was
nailing it. Yeah.
was that proactive though? Were you proactively nurturing your network?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Tapping the network, working it every which way. We'll probably get into this. I want to give the terminology that I'm a certifiable connector for
Mm,
people that are into the personality types and things like that. I'm an ENFP. My giving place is to be with people, to talk and get out there. So this team that was doing the amount of work that we were at a good plateau, I'd say, growing plateau, but you know what I'm saying, equilibrium of
Yeah.
enough work coming in, work for people to do, um, was fine. But at a certain point, is it fine? And do you want to grow some more? And as we found ourselves excited by the growth we were finding for our clients,
Mhm.
it aligned with my vision that yes, we should be bigger. We should niche into a couple specialized sort of industries and make the most of it. And it is no longer the invisible company that you find us through if you know one or two of us in the shop. And so then we, around this 2010, built the strategic marketing company that puts us out there, puts us in the circles. I'm even looking at a chart on my screen right now, in
Okay.
the circles of industries and service lines that we want to be in. And so, you know, of content marketing strategy, putting myself out there in a couple new places. I am not you, Tim. I am not on so many podcasts, and I don't blog a ton and do these things. But I take those opportunities, and I do still, lots of coffee and frankly get on a plane and be with people.
Wow.
Um, we're no longer that invisible company.
Wow. Wow. What was the marketing push? Did you just go out to your current clients, or did you say, hey, we got to go out into the world and start selling this? What did you call it? The brand and strategy agency?
Yes. Yep. Um, Certainly, we did start with the what we were used to, and showing up with. I was always that show me kind of attitude, like open the laptop and show some case studies. The work always looks good, and so I could show that the ad campaign or now running Google ads, or what are we doing for a LinkedIn strategy? What are we doing on socials? And these things. So it probably took the new the shiny new um, operation to those folks. But again, I think I said before, you have to practice what you preach. And so
Mhm.
we said, where's growth looking to be for us? What are we most interested in? What industries, excite us? Which ones are we in? We want to go deeper with. And so then we started doing setting up our own campaigns. Um, and it's a noisy space for
Yeah. Well, what kind of campaigns were you doing? Were you cold calling them? Were you sending them emails? Were you running ads? What did that look
digital
like?
digital marketings, and I suppose we started less now, but probably email campaigns of that era.
Mhm.
And Tim, it's not like that worked overnight, and we're flush with all the results from that. But I just say this to um, to any of your audience. Um, it's par for the course. We have to have ourselves out that way. The
Yeah.
amount of, say, awareness of ourselves, first off, not everything generates a lead. If that's what we're working for, well, we certainly hope to have some leads, but all leads, I think, have some of that general awareness piece out there that serves us. That's good. And the more that we have done this practice, the leads that do come in are just better qualified. They get us further. We spend plenty of time on proposals and statements, and you want your team, having a pretty good success rate instead of like just volumes of it doesn't serve anybody. So we're just getting well qualified leads
And
at
are
whatever.
these, do you mostly work with directly with CMOs of bigger companies? Who are you generally working with?
Yes, we are. It's exactly right. And for a time, our the title that was our persona. Okay, and we named her. We named her April. Um,
Oh,
it-
cool.
it-
You created it for yourself. You didn't just,
oh yeah, Yeah. And we, had all the attributes. Where does she shop? What are her likes, interests outside of work, inside of work? Really, we did the work. And her title, really, back in that first part of the era, was marketing director, because these were the folks at some excellent companies in B2B manufacturing, some food service, some financial, that were paying our bills. They were my contacts. Still love them. Still work with a ton of them. Maybe they were getting promoted. Maybe the organization got acquired 2, 3 times, and then we needed that persona elevated. Right, went to the CMO, VP of marketing, and it's real interesting, Tim. Uh, th- Talking about evolution, various at some stage back in there, that director of marketing, again, love them. If you have that title, you're awesome. Depends on what is the director of marketing's decision making
Yeah.
ability, meaning with the bank account to give go ahead on budgets and things like that, or does she have to loft up to her boss in one of those more elevated titles? And frankly, just to say, for this company, we do better the higher up the chain we go, because we're
Yeah.
solving very big problems, complex interplay between brand and marketing, big sales goals, initiatives, how we're working with the team. And if we sort of stall out or hit that sort of that ledge, where it has to be now, our ideas, our concepts, our strategy has to get represented
Yeah.
up one more channel. Something's going to get lost. So we're targeting just a little different um, persona there nowadays.
Well, and that's marketing and sales. It always evolves, and even what the roles are, even what a director is, changes over time, because sometimes the decision making power over 10 years of different roles is gonna look different. One thing I loved that you said, and I don't know if people caught this, but it stuck out to me, was just to set context. I think these days there's a lot of there's just a lot of hypey kind of promises around marketing and sales, and there's so much people that are trying to do this irresistible offer that if you don't become rich and start drinking margaritas on the beach without doing any work in the next 7 days, we will give your money back, which is like a lot of stuff that's actually, if the FTC is cracking down on this stuff pretty hard. But thing is, something I love that you said, because I think entrepreneurs seeing this, all these crazy promotions that are actually not real, there's always these fake things behind them. You said you weren't expecting it to work like really fast and be this thing. How is your mindset expectation around, hey, when we started an initiative, not just for yourself, but for your clients as well, when we started an initiative, what's kind of a timeline that you like to set for your company as well as for your clients to start seeing improvements and changes? And at what point do you say, hey, this is not working, let's change director or change strategy?
Yeah. I like to be as succinct as I can on a podcast like this. So I'm going to just say 3 months. Here's a general template to respond with. There's going to be some type of discovery, crafting the solution, and formulating, say, a campaign.
Yep.
And um, and we have to apply it. We have to get into the CRM instance, HubSpot, Salesforce, these types of things. We want good content, great content, and creative matching up, and get it up and running. And we're so active, it is not set it and forget it with us. So we're so active in the analytics. Not
Mm.
myself, those that practice this. I mean, really, geek is the new cool, and we got some really cool people here. Really
I
watching that.
like the way you said that. That was cool, man. I like the way you use your language. I'm nerding out about that, so I'm
Yeah,
grateful for that.
thanks. Yeah, geek is the new cool. And for instance, Jordan at my shop. I mean, just the team he leads, and that it's very active management of these programs. So, relatively speaking, the creatives there, the campaigns are going up. We're watching and monitoring. There's a lot to move around if we're looking for leads, and so we'll see some performance metrics, and frankly doubt there'd be a conversion, that first month.
Right.
But then we're open for all possibilities, and yes, we'll start seeing leads, and we'll start seeing activities, and we'll see direct, clicks on the website that we know came from the thing. Month three, now it's actually refining. And there's even been enough at that point that we've done A/B testing. Talk about being curious. We want to see what this headline or that headline's doing, and then we're honing. Another reason why I say 3 months without much hesitation is yesterday we just did a quarter two review, the financial client that we just love. And we went in, kind of buttoned up the shirt, and we're there, it's a review, right? It's not to say we're on the chopping block, but at some point, the client has a decision to make: stay with you or not stay with you. So this is practice for probably the yearly, and the metrics look great. We reflected on all the things that, and data showed what was working, what wasn't working. We were winning, right? Because the things that we needed that weren't performing got turned off. The things that
Yes.
were got amplified, and we're really good. So just to say, we do really honor sort of the review. How are we doing? And a chance to make our case. But they made it for us yesterday. They were top down and all around of MQLs, marketing qualified leads. We've checked the box. We've over exceeded there. Now, what's sales going to do with the leads that we've brought to them? We had
Yes. Yeah.
ideas about this, and just really healthy stuff. So it's very
And do
relational.
you look at the numbers from once it's an MQL all the way through the sell cycle? Are you working with the team on that, or is it just a straight pass off?
No, we are okay, but excellent question, because um, this particular company, and I would say it exists for maybe most of them. That bridge from marketing to sales is one that hasn't been, say, well tread. There's
Yeah.
no one way that. Uh, in fact, there's often the tension. Sales is like, well, what have you brought to my door? And marketing is like, did you call the leads? And so the sophistication of that conversation um, is wildly different from client to client. In
Yeah.
this particular case I'm talking about just yesterday, um, the sales team is pretty small. They're really great. Like we knew some of them prior to the engagement, but those conversations haven't happened. So meaning this, there's some leads to go follow up on. We don't know yet, and we had these questions. Is it going to be a phone call? Is it going to be a data sheet that we created so that they can send something over in email and then ask for the follow-up? The path for sales, and that the responsibility, we're saying, we decided yesterday, is on that client. There's a good
Yes.
sales leader, and they are going to need to tread those. And they're going to
Interesting.
have to put up some boundaries of like, what are you expecting from marketing? What are we expecting from you?
It's very,
But
very, very similar to what we deal with, because we could bring in one client, and that we just, hey, just give us the meetings. They've got everything dialed in. They've got all the stuff, and they're just boom closing. They're making a bunch of money. Other times there is that tension between marketing and sales, which is kind of crazy, because I think marketing is sales and sales is marketing. Like they're the same thing. But yeah, no, so it is, because at the end of the day, the client is paying you, yes, for certain metrics along the way, like MQLs. But at the end of the day, clients hire you and I to get that end result, which is the revenue and the client. So that is always a tension that we have as well too, where some clients are just the best to work with, and you get in there and the sales team loves working with marketing, and sometimes it is a weird bridge. So it's just interesting to see how many similarities that we have, even though slightly different
Yeah.
services we do, that it's very, very similar.
This one, the best part of it is this one. They're going to give us the bird's eye view to how those conversations go, what the expectations is going to be of sales as they figure it out. And then we'll have the ideas. We'll have, yes, the curiosity, but we'll have some creative ideas for creating some content that they have some things off the shelf that they'll have to present from if they get the meeting, or some follow up content. So we don't always have a look into what happens after the MQL.
Yeah.
So it'll be great. I'll share back with you how it goes.
Yeah, let me know. Well, also, one thing I'm curious about is, let's say, because you've been in business 30 years, you've already been talking about, well, over 30 years, just to clarify,
Yeah.
31. So, and you mentioned, having a strategy. Everybody needs to have some kind of succession or some kind of exit strategy. Like if you come down to Miami this time next year, we hang out, we go take the boat out, and we're just chatting and say, man, this last year was exactly on target for what we wanted to be. What does this time next year look like? And how does that line up with where you want the business to be, say, 5 years?
Yeah, good. Personally, because I started there, I am continuing to sort of let the reins out on some of the creative direction. Some of those things I just want it always to be tended to so bespoke for each client. So that's been easy for me to keep it close. So
Mm,
as I look to extend there, um, uh, and give some of those responsibilities to others, then my sort of just representing the CI design out there, and being with the clients, being with the deals that are happening. Like I said before, I actually think the creativity starts at that conversation. The itch will be scratched for me to be sort of CEO about town. And we've been treading a lot in a more national footprint than just the Chicago, Milwaukee area, San Diego, Phoenix, Salt Lake. Just
you're trying to get to the warm places.
yes, we are. This business has been going really good out those directions. Some tech startups, some home improvement industry things,
Mm.
and some financial. Those are kind of three big buckets. We're just seeing there's such a rate of return for the more that I'm out there,
Yeah.
whatever that means. It's just I'm with those people, and
So
so
are
I
you
think
seeing yourself being you letting go of the reins and letting some of your awesome team focus on the creative direction for some of the clients, and you're more out there
yeah.
talking, meeting people, connecting with the clients? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think that looks like a little liberation for me to be untethered that way. Some percentages more, and what we're noticing though is that is fruitful for the company. That is there, that I have some effect on the bottom line through crafting better deals with these opportunities that I've been talking about. So that's probably it, Tim. It starts a bit personal, how I'll conduct myself, but I'd also then say, and then that the company was able to a goal, fewer and bigger clientele in
Mm.
industries that we love, right? And so I'm just trying to affect that, and do more of what works, get out of the way on things that don't, and yeah, I think that process has begun. We just need to stay on that trajectory and come down to Miami and get on the boat.
Sounds good. Well, the question I love to ask everybody is, because the theme of the takeover is about winning, right? Like even at our company, Pima, we have 10 core values, the Pima 10, but I would say they all culminate into the one, which is winning is our resolve. So what does winning mean to you, Jim?
I think the manifestation of that, and if it's quite simple, and I just said sort of that fewer but larger engagements, we would
Mm,
just really love to be a strategy partner, brand and marketing partner for bigger brands, moving things, just making the world go round. And so year by year, just and what we get to do when that happens, I think, is less gear changing, having to have this many clients to get to the bottom line, or a few, dig in deeper, affect them even more, with greater care. So winning that way would just be really finding our concentration. Something I wish, and I would say to your fellow entrepreneurs out there, we cast a pretty wide net in the 90s, 2000s, and
mm.
stayed somewhat unspecialized. That we're a shop that you could apply our brand thinking and strategy to anything, and that was exciting. And in some economies that I've experienced, it was really necessary to be able to ping between manufacturing and financial and a little bit B2C here and there, and some nonprofit space. Education was a big, but a few too many. I would
Yeah,
just say,
you're going a
now
little too wide.
little too wide. So I'd say, of some advice would be, really hone your niche, lock it down much sooner than we have, because the place that I'm in now is, I don't. It's not that I want to axe any one of those, but I do want to focus concentration, and winning would look like going deeper, rather than wide.
I love it. I love it. Well, what's the best way for our audience to connect with you, Jim?
Yeah, thanks. I do love it. And please, don't hesitate. Go ahead and email me. I have help looking at the in basket and things. I will get back to you. I treasure the connection. You've heard it. So JT at cidesigninc.com, JT at cidesigninc.com. Let's start a conversation. And LinkedIn is great too. Love LinkedIn, and I'm active in it. It won't sit there. I'd love to hear about your businesses. If it's a business I can help, of course, that's great. Tim and I are here to want to, we say this at CI Design, move brands forward.
Mm.
And so the whole array of things that you've heard, I'd love to listen. Okay, but let's talk it out and let's solve some problems.
No, that's awesome. Make sure to reach out to Jim. I mean, we've had some people give out their phone number, some people give out their email. It's not very often that you get a high level entrepreneur like Jim giving you his email to reach out to him. So if you want to connect, if you have a business that needs help with branding and strategy, I mean, Jim, just make sure to reach out to him. Or if you just want to connect, make sure to reach out to him. Jim, this has been awesome having you on, brother. This is so much value. There's a lot of alignment I feel like you and I have, and I have a feeling that you and I are going to be friends. Like I think this conversation is going to continue after today and beyond, man. So it's been just an awesome
Entirely.
pleasure to have you on today, brother.
Thank you so much. I agree. Can't wait for our next convo. So take care, and thanks for having me on.
Again, this was the Takeover, where domination is not a destination, it is a way of life. Stay winning.